Okay, there we go. Let's try and get this audio down. I think we're live. I've got my dogs going literally psycho upstairs, so I apologize to anybody who wants to listen to that. They're fighting. Frankie, come here! Frankie! Ooh, I can hear myself. Going literally psycho. So, welcome to the weekly Shotbow developer live stream. What we're going to do today is something a little bit different. My dogs are still going crazy. I love it. We're gonna make a plugin from scratch in IntelliJ IDEA. Most tutorials that I've seen use Eclipse. I don't know if there's any out there that use IntelliJ. I personally prefer IntelliJ over Eclipse. It is the IDE that is recommended by Google for the Android project. That's what Android Studio is built on. So it's a good IDE to get into if you want to get into Android development. And it also has some nice, I don't know, I enjoy the code completion. I feel a little more at home in IntelliJ than I do in Eclipse. But full disclosure, I started with Visual Studio, so I started as a Microsoft developer working in C#, and so JetBrains, they make a plugin for Visual Studio called ReSharper that helps with that stuff. So helps with code completion and helps with the code development. And so IntelliJ has a lot of those features from ReSharper. So this is definitely a personal bias that I'm showing, but what I'd like to do is show you how to do that. So Wicked, this is for you, because you want to make the switch from Eclipse to IntelliJ. This is how we're going to do it. So when you start up IntelliJ, you'll see a window like this, and you want to create a new project. Now, I want to make some assumptions. I want to lay some assumptions out on the table. Obviously, when making a tutorial, it's a little bit difficult because you're going to have people that are going to have different ways of doing things. This is my way of doing things. Well, this isn't even my way of doing things. This is how I would recommend someone else get started. I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about programming, Java, no Java, just at least that you know the basics of how to write code and make things happen. We can go over some basics of programming as we go, but I just want to let you know I'm assuming you're coming from a very limited programming background, so people who have a little more experience might look at this and be like, that's not how you do it. But you can talk about Maven and Gradle and all of these wonderful tools to help out. I think once people get the basics, and so this is going to get you from never making a Java project or Bucket plugin to having one running on a server within the matter of a few hours. I'll probably be able to do it in an hour. And so you'll want to slow this down and watch it, when it's on YouTube and all that. So I'm going to assume you like Minecraft. That's why you're doing this. That you're here to learn a way to start. Like I said, this isn't the way. This is a way. A way? That's kind of cool. Anyway, it's a way to start developing in IntelliJ IDEA and developing with Bucket and Spigot.
Are you streaming it yet, Laser?
Yeah, I am actually. I am streaming.
Okay.
So actually, let me go ahead and close out a TeamSpeak. That's actually, thank you for reminding me.
No worries.
Channel switch.
There we go. Now I'm in staff streaming. Okay. And so yeah, there are better practices for getting started for once you get your feet wet, once you get a little bit of an idea of how to develop. But this is going to be just a way to get you from literally nothing to something on the server. And I think that's the most important step, because where people get stuck is where to start. Once you have a basic idea, you can start looking on how to improve your process and really iterate over it. And that's what a programmer's job is to do anyway, is to make things better by going over them over time. I'll also mute my Skype real quick because we don't need that. Actually, I'll just sign out. Hopefully nobody sends me any important messages while we go, but I'm feeling pretty confident, so let's go. Okay, so you've got IntelliJ IDEA, you've downloaded it. It's awesome, here it is. What does it do? Let's go create a new project. And normally I would actually set up a Gradle project here, because Gradle is love, Gradle is life. I think Google is now recommending using Gradle for Android. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but just kind of a side note. I think you can actually set up an Android project here. It's not showing this window. Let me pull up this window in OBS. Here real quick, go properties. It's going really, it's getting mad. there the new project window? Okay. So now I've switched to this new project window. So so you can see there's like the Gradle Android model, etc. So I'm just going to do a generic Java project here, and this will get you started. Click next. Create a project from template. We don't need a template. You could make a template for a bucket project. I'm not going to, because I want you to learn how to do this yourself. And this can really be generified to implementing any kind of API or working with any kind of library, because that's what we're using spigot or bucket as a library. Yeah, the link to IntelliJ IDEA, JetBrains IDEA download, Wicked Skipper's got it. I'm sure we'll have it in the description down here on YouTube, so enjoy. So I'm just going to go next, and we'll call project, what do we want to call it? We'll call it I'm learning Java. I don't know. That's how it goes. Okay, so now that window closed, and I need to change which window is being captured by OBS. So I'll change over to I'm learning Java. Click OK, maybe. Boom, we're good. Okay, so now, let's move this up here, and then we're going to set up into our familiar system here that I've done before, which is having Minecraft down in this corner, Java there. We actually don't need Minecraft right now, so I'm going to go ahead and move it behind, and we'll just stick in here. Okay, so when you're doing a normal from scratch kind of project in IntelliJ or in anything, you would normally have specific layouts like of frameworks that you're using to build, like Maven and Gradle. You can learn about those, but to get started here, you need a package. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go new package, and of course I work with Shotbow, so I go net.shotbow.imlearning, and so what you do is your first two can be you can do something like I could go, if let's say I don't have a website, so normally you would put your website, but you put it backwards. You start with the com or the net or the org, but I'm going to go ahead and just go in here, and we'll just go com.gmail.lazertester.imlearning, and that'll be the package. So com.gmail.lazertester. If you have an email address, you can use that as your package. So you can do com.gmail.whatever your email is, and that's an easy way if you don't have a website. But that's just basically when somebody gets a hold of your project, they can see what's happening. Oh, the pop-up window's not captured? Oh, man, maybe I'll just do, I might just do desktop capture. I'm not a big fan of it just because stuff, but it's all good. I don't think I'm gonna have anything popping up that's gonna give away any worldwide secrets. Oh, entire window maybe. Maybe entire window will fix it? No, that's not working. Okay, let me do this real quick and go here. Let me just close everything that might give away back-end Shotbow things that don't need to be given away right now. And Navar will cut this out of the YouTube video. Good job. Can I capture layered windows? Does that work? Maybe? No. Okay, so what happens is a pop-up shows up that asks you to put in that thing, the address, or the package, I mean. And so let me get back to my dashboard real quick because I lost it. Man, there's going to be lots of editing needed. Okay. So we got here com.lazertester.imlearning, and I'm going to create a new Java class. And yeah, I hate how these pop-ups aren't showing up. Okay, I'm going to fix this real quick. One moment. I'm just going to go add monitor capture main. I didn't realize it wouldn't show all the pop-ups, and those get actually quite important. I don't know which monitor's which. I assume that this is 2. Man, this is taking forever. 2? Okay. Whoa! Oh, that's this monitor. Okay. Here we go. Problem is solved. Hooray! Okay. So I'm going to go in here, go new Java class. Boom! Yes! We went off into the twilight zone. Fantastic. Okay, so this new class, we're going to call it, I'm just going to call it I'm Learning. Now, normally what I do, and people can have differing opinions on this, but when I have a plugin, I try and keep the package name and the main class name the same, just because it makes it easy to know, this is part of the I'm Learning project. An exception to that was when I made Wasted, it was net.shotbow.wasted, wasted guns, wasted cars, wasted all that kind of stuff. I need to move this down because now it's covering up. There we go. My face. Okay. So once you're in here, you've got your IntelliJ layout here. You're going to want to you want to now link it to Bucket, because as you can see, there's nothing here that specifies Bucket or Java or Spigot or anything. So I actually go in here and I go Project Structure. And let me real quick, I'm going to drag this off because I don't know what the default window is going to be, and it might actually be in some code I don't want leaking right now. So let me just make sure. But you're going to pull up the dependencies section, and there we go. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid, but there it is. No big deal. You just see a bunch of random projects. So what you'll do is you'll get this window that says attach files or directories. Let me go. So then I would go in here, my example server, and I've got my spigot.jar already here. If you need to know how to get Spigot, you can go on spigot.org and pull that up and get all that stuff pulled down. It's kind of complicated, but MD5's really done a good job of making it just a pretty straightforward process of running the buildtools.jar, and it pulls all the code and compiles it for you. And the reason why it's so convoluted is because of some legal issues surrounding Bucket code and all of that. So this is how we were able to still use the project. So Spigot, you add it as a dependency, and I'll pull over the window that I was in here that has dependencies. So once you pull up project settings, you'll see a window like this. You can go down to modules and then dependencies, and I'm learning Java because this only has one module. You can learn about modules later. Okay, is it normal that I don't understand all this? Maybe. Crippler, at the beginning of this video, I talked about having a little bit of programming understanding. At this point, we're doing the setup stuff. This stuff is kind of, you either know it or you don't. It's a learned skill. Even if you're a developer, you've got to learn how to work with your particular library. So that's what I'm trying to get over here, is that initial setup stuff. So I'll go here, click apply. And now what's happening is if I go in here to my external libraries, I can see spigot.jar here, and it's got all of this stuff because IntelliJ has a built-in decompiler, and so it actually makes it so that you can decompile the code and look at it on the fly, which is kind of awesome. If you don't know what that means, it's okay. It's not relevant. I mean, it is, but it's not relevant to what we're doing right now. So what you'll do is when you're making a Spigot plugin, you've got to make it into a plugin. And the way we do that is we extend, and there's a way to do something called inheritance. You inherit another class, and we extend a class called Java plugin. And IntelliJ, as you see, provides that recommendation as I start typing. And if I go into this Java plugin class, I'm decompiling it live just so I can show you what it is. But Spigot / this is a Bucket class, but this is what Bucket has provided as a shape or as a design for your plugins that are meant to interact with Bucket and with Minecraft. And so if you go in here, you can actually dive in here and read all of this stuff. Some of the code might get a little convoluted because it's decompiled as opposed to being written by hand. It's actually already been machine assembled, and now it's been disassembled to try and make it so you can look at what you're trying to interact with. But it's kind of awesome. So we extend Java plugin, and what that gives us is if I go in here, and I'm going to use a shortcut. Oh, it's not. Control-Shift. Oh, there it is. Okay, so up here, if I go into code and I go, is it override in code? Or maybe it's in here. It might just be here, refactor. Refactor. When you're first starting with IntelliJ, you can get used to all of the cool features by clicking down in here and going into the refactor window. That's actually got some really fancy things. I don't actually think it has the override method. I don't know where it is. Code, navigate. Code. I don't know what the actual refactor here. I don't know what the actual drop-down menu is, but I know for me it is Control-Alt-O or Control-Shift-O. I mean, to override methods, and that's basically these are all the the pieces. Is it Alt Insert for normal? I'm using Visual Studio shortcuts, so my shortcuts are going to be a little bit off kilter. But you can look up the key map, and you can try, and you can even Google instructions. What I'd like you to do is not take my word for it on this tutorial and things. Is what I want to spark your brain on concepts and ideas of how to make this work, and then have you use Google and use your own resources to connect the dots in your own way, because I might skip over some important steps without even realizing it. I've written it down. I've actually got, a little itinerary thing, but life. So in here we can see Java plugin provides a ton of different methods, and we want to look at these two methods right here: on enable, on disable. Sometimes you might need on load, but on enable and on disable are what's going to get you to hook into your plugin. And I think on enable, yeah, it does nothing, so you don't ever need to call super.onEnable. So in your program now, you don't need to use that fancy override menu. You can actually just go in here and go public void on enable, and that will work the same. And I can, but the reason why I like to use the override thing is to make sure that I know what I'm doing. Because if I just start writing an on enable method in a random Java class, it's not going to do anything unless there's something running it. But Bucket takes care of that for us if we extend Java plugin, provide the on enable, and there's a magical piece called the plugin.yml that I'll get into in a minute. But in this on enable method, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get logger, and this is something provided by the plugin, and I'm going to call getlogger.info. Is that what it is? Alt, does that still work with mine? Oh, generate getter and setter, override methods. Oh yeah, Alt Enter is like totally fancy. Wow, it's skills. I know the next level of shortcuts, and I've got those memorized. So Alt Enter is Alt Insert is a great tool for somebody who doesn't who's not familiar with them. So as you work with an IDE, you'll get used to the shortcuts and the things that it provides. And the idea of IDEA is to be an extension of the developer, and you can actually customize it and add your own code completion and stuff. It's really fancy, but I love it. Don't tell my wife. You'll notice I don't have music. I hope that you guys are able to play your own music instead of just listening to me, because it's boring. It's just because I don't want to deal with the music stuff with YouTube and Twitch and all that. I've tried, failed. Navarre's had to scrub every video I've ever made. So we're going to just listen to the beautiful music of my dogs fighting upstairs. Okay, so in your on enable, I'm going to just go in here and go, I am learning, yay! And that's all I'm gonna put in here. And then I can do a build. You can go up here and go build, make project. I press F7. I think it's a different default shortcut normally. I hope so. I hope my music is voiced in your ears, Kurloka. And so I just built my project, but here's the problem. I don't have it building anywhere. There's nothing here. It's just, it built, so it checked all the code, makes sure it can run, and then it compiles it, but it doesn't actually do anything. So we actually need to create an artifact. And the way that we do that is up here. I go into File, Project Structure, or Control-Alt-Shift-S for me. I don't know if it's the same for the default. Like I said, my shortcuts are a little bit wonky. And then you'd go in here and you'd add a jar. If you're going to be using Maven or Gradle, in fact, I recommend Gradle with IntelliJ. IntelliJ's Gradle integration is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I cannot stress that enough. But the problem with Gradle is that you'd need your own repository holding on to the spigot, because there are no public spigot or bucket repositories due to the DMCA issues and all that. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. We'll skip forward. So you'll make a jar. I'm going to call this I'm learning jar. I got to add my compile output to the jar. I don't need to add spigot into the jar because we don't need to pack spigot inside of a plugin. Spigot sits on the outside of the plugin, and we use it as a library in this so that we can pull things out of it and modify Minecraft with it. Now is a good time to talk about the next piece. You can go in here, and it really depends on how. Normally you would have, in fact, I should probably just do this. Normally you would do a main.java in your source. Yes. No, I don't. No, that's not what I want. I didn't read that. Okay. main.java, and then it'll say no, create packages, and then I'll drag all this stuff down in here. Because normally you'd do source, main, Java. What? Don't do that. What? This is dumb. It's like putting everything backwards. Okay, we're just going to start over here for a second. Okay, new package. main.java.com.lazertester.imlearning. That's what I want right here. Let's get rid of that one. Let's move you over to that. Sorry, that's really obnoxious that it was like dragging over the pieces one folder at a time. And then I'll go in here and I'll go new package and I'll do java.resources. And so normally you would actually, really, I'm trying to get it. So this is why you set up your project correctly in the first place. Java.resources, and that should give me a resources package to the side. Yay! So then in here I can create a file, call this plugin.yml, and I'll just make it a txt, it doesn't matter. Plugins supporting YML extensions are found. Nice! I have no idea. Yes, it is generally a terrible idea to spam consoles with debug text. Now, because of the nature of Bucket and Java plugins, I don't know of any live debugger. So usually developers will use the console to output debug messages using what's called rubber ducky QA, where you basically, like, when a plumber is really desperate or something, they can send an object from down a pipe to see if it comes out the other end later. That's what a developer is doing. We put in a rubber ducky with this getlogger.info I am learning, and that just prints out to the console, hey, I'm learning, and that's the rubber ducky saying, hey, I emerged on the other side. The code that's wrapping me up is executing, and it's executing correctly. And so this is just a lazy way to do development QA, but it is what we have as far as starting out. So that's why I'm printing out to the console, but it's a bad idea. Spigot is the same as Bucket. Spigot actually implements Bucket. It's continued the Bucket API and maintaining it, so it's fancy. So in here you would do, I'm going to have to pull up a, whatchamacallit, plugin.yml here, because I always mess up on my plugin.yml. So let's open Annihilation and look at its plugin.yml as an example. That's a good idea. Wow. 1 second here. So normally, there's a bunch of different options with a plugin.yml, but the three that you need are the name, version, and main. Now in this is obviously not Annihilation, so I just stole it I usually copy paste my plugin.ymls and then modify them because I'm lazy, so there we are. So main's going to be here, com.lazertester.imlearning. And where I got that from is over here. You see com.lazertester.imlearning, and then the class is called imlearning. And main is the way that you tell Bucket your plugin's entry point. It says, hey, this is where you start. This is where I have my on-enabled stuff. Is it directly under? Yeah, that's exactly what I did. No, nitpicking's good actually. Normally I let IntelliJ set it up for me. So yeah, you're right though. Main.resources. No, I enjoy the nitpicking. Please do nitpick. So I'll move that over, move you, delete that. Okay, cool. That's fine. And then in here, I'm going to actually go into here, modules, and go sources. And this is actually marked as a source folder. I don't want that to be marked as a folder. I want that to be marked as a folder. And that way it uses the com.lazertester.imlearning package here. But yeah, when you're using something like Maven or Gradle, you'll want to make sure. I probably did that really quickly. You go into project structure and go into modules and sources. And you want to mark one level above your package as your source folder. So in this case, I have my source, main, and then I right-click on Java and set it to sources. It'll turn blue. The ones below it will be orange with that blue dot inside of it, assuming you're in the normal ones. Assuming you're in the normal visual. I don't do dark themes, so You know, if you're in a dark theme, enjoy. So then in here, I'm actually going to want to add my plugin.yml. So I'm going to go File, and then we're going to see all of my random little projects here, resources, plugin.yml, and I add that to this. And now my imlearning.jar, when I compile it, will have the compile output and the plugin.yml inside of the jar. That's important. You can mark your resources as your resources. Oh, I always do that with things. Oh, there we go, resources. Done. Then I guess I don't need that necessarily for my artifact. It should just do it, but that's okay. Problem solved. Resources folder is resources. Boom. This is me working without Gradle. It's like a skydiver without a parachute. I don't know. So in this I'm learning. Oh, I forgot one very, very vital step. Is in this artifact section up here, you want to actually set your output directory. I'm going to set it to C my, what's it called? C my example server, I think. Yeah. C my example server, and then I'm going to want to put it in the plugins directory. And that way when I build this, and then I click build on make, and that makes it so that when I click the build on make, it goes straight into the plugins for me. So I go apply, okay, and then I have to get rid of this main dot blah blah blah. I'm learning, so because now I remarked the sources, so now it knows the package is com.lazertester. It's supposed to be com.gmail. Okay, one sec. We're gonna fix this one more time, because actually I'll keep it as com.lazertester, but just so you know, you can put your email address as the name. Yeah, I haven't actually worked with Forge, but I know it uses Gradle as well. But Gradle's love. Okay, so we have made a plugin. It doesn't do much, but if I hit F7, which is my shortcut for building, and I come into my example server, you can see we are now in C my example server plugins. I'm learning.jar. Boom. And in fact, if I open this with 7-zip, you can actually see in here that you've got your, there's my compiled imlearning.jar. Now it's turned into imlearning.class. See? So that's how Java works. And then you've got your plugin.yml, and that all matches exactly what I told it there. So if I go here and I click start, we should have it start, and it should work. Life should be happy. Oh, it looks like I'm already running. One sec. See, I'll provide all the music you need. No big deal. Okay, so we've got the server starting up here. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Enabling I am learning, and then we see I am learning. Boom! Boom. First try, start to finish. Couple of hiccups, and a couple things maybe, whatever, but in the end, it's running. So now we've got a plugin. It's running. It's on the server. We have basically an entry point where the sky's the limit, because once you have code running on the server, you can almost do anything. And what I'd like to do is kind of ask you guys, what do you want to do? Let's think of one action you perform in Minecraft. What are some things that you do in Minecraft? And then we'll see kind of what we want to do when we perform that action. I'll wait right now for the stream to catch up so you can get my question. And if nobody responds, it's going to be super awkward, because I was hoping this would be interactive. Wow, you're so dumb. Somebody just insulted me in chat. They enjoyed it. Okay, well, nobody answered. So PvP. Okay, let's say you hit somebody. Okay, so we're going to go in here. So I'm going to introduce you to a concept that's in the Bucket API, and it's called a listener. And this is a pretty universal pattern where you have a thing that can listen for events to be done. Actually, I'm going to do craft a sword. Kurlaka, I'm actually going to do crafting a sword, because I think people do like to mess with the crafting system, and although Minecraft's inventory code, it can be a little bit scary, I think the crafting stuff can be kind of fun. So let's, on enable, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get plugin manager, Oh, actually, I'll do get server.get plugin manager.register events. And now what I need is a register events, not an event. Okay, so then I do a new, we'll call this a craft listener. And then we provide, now, if you look in this, so this register events method, what I'm calling is I'm calling buckets plugin manager. This is the thing that bosses around all the plugins. And so we're registering events, so we provide what's called a listener, and you'll see that doesn't exist yet, but I'll show you how that can be easily made to exist and be in the shape that we want, which is kind of awesome. And then this right here, we need a plugin. Where are we going to get a plugin from? Well, we're in one right now. This is a I'm Learning extends Java plugin. So what I provide is this, and this means the current object that I am inside of. So I'm Learning is an object or a class. It's been created by Bucket's plugin manager, and it's calling the onEnable method at this moment. So we're registering events, and we provide a new craft listener and this. Now this craft listener doesn't exist, but if I hit Alt-Enter, I don't know what it is in normal, but if I do the code completion system, I can create class craft listener. And the best part about it is when I click OK, it's going to automatically implement listener, because in order for please don't let her go outside. Rose, sit. Hey, wait. She likes to dash out the door when people leave, so it's pretty awesome. But anyway, create this craft listener. It implements a listener. Now, listener happens to be an empty interface. An interface is kind of like a base class that you would extend, only it has no methods at all. If we go into I'm Learning, it's extending Java plugin, which is an abstract class. And so it provides a bunch of methods and fields and all this stuff. There are interfaces that have methods and stuff, but they can't have fields. You can learn about that stuff. I recommend the New Boston. They have some great Java tutorials starting from scratch. And you can always start from scratch with this tutorial and then follow their tutorials, adapting what they're doing into Minecraft if you want. Because I like Minecraft as a platform for teaching and learning development, because it's something familiar. We know it, we enjoy it, and it's a little bit easier to imagine the on click and on do this, do that. It's a little bit easier of a model to picture than trying to just figure out how to make a calculator and things. So anyway, so we're registering events. We're using a new craft listener, and now a listener is a very central part of the Bucket API. It listens for events, and events get fired when a plugin creates an event object or when somebody does something in Minecraft. So in this case, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go and you type @event handler, and this is called an annotation. You'll learn about it, or you won't, and you'll just do it knowing that you have to do it. But that's fine, because eventually you will learn about it, I promise, because annotations are freaking cool. Then I do public void on, and this method can be called whatever it wants. I usually do something like on craft if I'm doing like a craft item event or something. And then if I don't know what I'm looking for, I can be like, well, a player is going to do something. So then I can go in here and see player quit event, player join event, player blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to go player craft. Is that a thing? Oh, maybe not. So I'll just try typing craft. Craft event. Craft item event. There we go. Boom. You can actually look up events on Bucket's Java docs. You can just Google Java event or Bucket event list and see all of the events that get fired. And you can read about them. They'll have a little description about when they're fired. So this happens to be fired right when you click an item down in the window and something pops up in the results slot. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to make it so that when you craft a wooden pickaxe or a wooden sword or wooden anything, it's going to turn into diamond. That's what we're going to do. It's cheap. It's cheating. It's totally unfair. In fact, if you want to be really evil, you could like make it so it only happens if it's you. But I'm not going to tell you how to do that. If you want to do that and put that on your own server and then cheat in front of your friends, then I can't stop you because you're a developer now. Okay, let's so let's go in here. So on craft item event E. So then let's see what we got here. We got e.get. In fact, I have this really bad habit of abbreviating events to E. It's actually probably a better idea to call it event. I like E because I know an event is E, and I never call anything else E at all when I'm programming in Bucket because I know event is reserved for E, but that's just one of my isms. It doesn't need to be yours. So event dot get who clicked is canceled, set canceled, get inventory, get recipe, etc. So you could do this, so you can get view, get viewers. Wow, this is, there's a lot of really cool stuff. But what I want to use is I want to use the set result because that's pretty cool. So then I could go event.setResult new, and you'll have to, this is stuff that you'll learn, you kind of will learn how, oh, that's not the right kind of item stack, there's a bucket item stack. How to do these items and how to make them work. How to, like different things in Minecraft, you'll have to, it's kind of like learning a language. You won't actually know what's there initially. You'll have to kind of go follow tutorials and modify things, but you can, with a lot of research, a lot of patience, you can actually, you can learn quite a bit. So in this case, I'm creating an item stack that's representing an item that's sitting in the inventory. That's opposed to an item object, which is meant to be an item on the ground. So we're making an item stack, and we use this material class to tell us what it is, and I can scroll down, or I can just be lazy and go diamond, we'll just do diamond sword, okay? Oh no, it's not set result, set, craft item event. No, I think it's called pre-craft, prepare item craft event, that's the one. See, there's different items. Craft item event is actually after you click the item to pull it out of the inventory. So I don't want to actually do anything with that. I want to change the item that shows up. See, this is the kind of stuff you just kind of learn as you go. So event dot, and so we're going to find out what we do. So event dot, I think event dot get inventory dot set result. And so what I'm doing is if you look in here, so I'm going to go back and event.getInventory returns a crafting inventory. And you can actually go into this, and you can see a crafting inventory. Boom. Extends inventory. It's got a result, a matrix. And this is stuff just from diving into the obfuscated code. You can actually go on to Bucket's website and Google crafting inventory and find out more about it. It'll describe it. But the crafting inventory is meant to be either the 9-in-1 slot or the 4-in-1 slot. I think they're both the same thing in Bucket. So anyway, so I go in here and I'm setting the result, and of course the result slot is the result slot, and I'm setting it to a diamond sword. So that's going to, so let's, I'll compile this. It's now going to be deployed into my server again, and then let's see what that looks like. So go into my example server, start it up, and we will wait. Okay, so we'll join. Here we are. Look at this. Everybody check it out. Boom, we are now in Minecraft. I need to bring up Minecraft now so that we can see it. So I'm here. Boom, life is beautiful. Everything around me is wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and grab some wood. Yay! Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Darko, wait a second. What? What? All of a sudden it's a diamond sword. So wait, if I go... Okay, wait. What's another recipe? Maybe I can... This might actually break my game because I don't think I can make anything else much. Let's see here. As you can see, I've force closed this a few times, so it's actually failed. I don't know if there's anything else I can make right now because I only have that. I could maybe beat a sheep to death. Actually, you know what? To beat a sheep to death, I should probably make a diamond sword. But yeah, so as you see, I now made it so that everything, whenever I craft anything at all, it becomes a diamond sword. Kind of awesome. Are there any recipes with wool? I don't think so. I think there's just the spider webs into wool, so unfortunately there's not much I can do here. But anyway, it's kind of awesome. So that's what that code's doing right now, is that when I craft an item, and you see it was only one line of code, just a couple lines of code to overwrite it, and then I'm turning it into a diamond sword. Now, it's not that simple, right? We don't want to make everything into diamond swords. That wouldn't be very fun. So what I'm going to do here is let's add a little bit of, I'm going to show you a little bit of normal Java logic with if statements. If statements are going to be your friend. You can even do a switch if you want, but I won't go into that. So we go in here and we go if event.get recipe.get result, and I'm actually going to extract that out into its own item stack because I'm going to have to check it many times. If result.get type equals, let's go wood sword, then I can go in here and go event.getInventory.setItem diamond sword. And now we should be able to craft everything, but the wood sword will turn into a diamond sword. So you guys get the picture of what kind of things you can do here is with this. Is that once you get it in, once you get it all set up and get the code to where it's executing, the sky's the limit because you can do some pretty cool things. So let's go start. I'm going to start up that server now that I compiled it with this the wood sword check. And now our crafting should be intact, although every wooden sword should turn into a diamond sword. We want to verify that. And then once you get your... So that's a good question, Maggie. What if I were to craft a diamond sword? What do you think happens? Looking at the code and looking at what it does. Does it have anything that's going to prompt it to be a wooden sword or a diamond sword? It looks like, because in here, this if statement, what it's saying is if this result, so which is the recipe's result, so this prepare item craft, that you set up a recipe in the crafting thing, and then at the end you get the result. So this is getting the recipe's result, which is the intended result. We check that first. So if it's wooden sword, we do this. If it's not a wooden sword, do we do anything? The answer is no. If it's not a wooden sword, it does nothing. So your entire game is basically vanilla Minecraft, except for the fact that all wooden swords now become diamond swords. See, I can make a crafting bench, I can put it down, I can go in here, I can make sticks, I can make pickaxe, no big deal, nothing wrong. But then the moment I go in here and I make a wooden sword, boom, diamond sword. So because I did that if type is wooden sword, boom, it's a diamond sword. So that is how you can get started with a bucket plugin, and that's actually all I want to go over today. I want to stop here just for the sake of, can I have a copy of this for HCF? Yeah, just for the sake of simplicity and keeping it all in a video where we get from literally having nothing to having some code that we see in front of our eyes executing on the server and causing something to change. And just as one more fun thing, we can go event.get viewers, and we would want to actually iterate. So the way it works is an inventory can have multiple viewers. Now a craft inventory is always going to have one because your crafting inventory for yourself and for a workbench are actually just on your own character when it comes to code's perspective. So this should actually just return me, but then I can go human entity dot let's see, what can I do? Send message. And then I can use some chat color magic to make it look pretty, and go, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Dangerous. Okay. And that should actually send me a message now. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. When I reboot the server. So I'm going to reboot it again. And, oh yeah, duh, I need to restart it. That would help. And once it's started, I can go in and you can see. I'll make one for you, Darnie. Wow. You guys talking about grilled cheeses. I want a grilled cheese. So now we can double check this. Okay, so we loaded in. Looked like my game was storing my old state for a second. Okay, I'm going here, break a tree, and let's see if I get that beautiful little message now. Sounds like my baby's making some noises upstairs. Yeah, he likes to be loud. Let me do this here. And we'll see. So we added that it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And that only applies if we make a wooden sword. So just for the sake of clarity, we're going to make sure we're going to make a wooden pickaxe. Looks like that works just fine. But if I make a wooden sword, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And then that will fire actually anytime I complete the crafting recipe. So I can spam it all I want without actually taking it. That's kind of awesome. And so this, but once you have a listener registered, you can set up as many listeners as you want to try and organize your code. But I can actually extract this out, and I can go down here and actually use that item craft event that I set up initially, thinking it was what I wanted, on grab item, craft item event. Yeah, there's prepare item craft event and craft item event. Sometimes event naming can be difficult, so it is what it is. But I'm going to go in here and go there, event.getViewers. And so now, when I reboot one more time, we'll see a slightly different behavior now that I have two different event handlers handling two different types of events. And there's a lot you can do with the events and the event handlers and the listeners that you can just research, you can study other people's code, you can try and learn from people on how to do that. Or you can learn from tutorials, you can learn from the Java docs. There's a lot of material to get through, but it just takes some patience, a willing mind, and kind of a willingness to learn. So start up this server one more time and show off that last little twist on this, and then I will let you go and we will mess around with it. Bionic, that's a really good question. Guess what I just did? I'm actually showing that right now. Previously it would do it when you click on it every single time, but now I'm going to show you how what I just changed right now has a slightly different effect, and I think is exactly up your alley. Pull this, get some sticks. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Hey doggy, what you doing? So I break that. So now I made this here. If I have two event listeners, one that gets the result and turns into diamond, one that turns into wood, there's a thing called listener priority that you can actually set the priority. That's something that I'd like to cover another time, but that's definitely a great question and a good one to lead into that I can show off later with advancing this I'm learning project into using priority. But now we see, so now it's not making that message every time it substitutes, but when I click that, boom, it's dangerous to go alone, take this. So now it only sent it to me when I pulled it out of the table. So that's exactly what you were looking for, right, Bionic? I'll show that off one more time just so you can see. But a lot of this is just going to take some trial and error and a lot of patience and understanding and research in order to make sure that you can do that. So yeah, so before when I would click this, it would every single time display that message. Now it doesn't. So I click on this, boom, it's dangerous to go alone, take this down there. I could even play a song, I could teleport them to the nether, I could do all kinds of crazy stuff with them on that event. It's just a matter of what I want to do here. And so, like if I were to go if human entity instance of player, because human entity can technically not be a player, it is almost always going to be a player, but if you have, let's say, an NPC plugin, it might use human entity objects, but you can check if it's a player. Then you can go human entity.teleport, and then I can teleport to the nether. I don't know how to even get the nether, I'm going to be honest here. Human entity.getWorld.getNether? No, I don't know how to even get the nether world. I think you have to get it separately. But anyway, I can do human entity.setVelocity. This is my favorite. New vector 0, 1, 0. Okay, we'll do that because that's going to be awesome. So what I did is I'm setting the velocity to a vector. Now, a vector, if you've done any kind of geometry, you should be familiar with a vector. It's kind of like a line. It's point to point, but a vector has length. So a line is just a point and a point, and it goes forever. A vector has a certain amount of length. So I'm creating a vector from the player's location with a relative location of 0 on the x, 1 on the y, and 0 on the z. Anybody got any idea of what that's going to do? and I'm setting the player's velocity to that, I should mention. So I'm setting the player's velocity to a new vector with an x of 0, a y of 1, and a z of 0. Whenever they pull the sword out of the crafting table. We'll see what happens if somebody figures out what that is and how that happens. I should like store all these items here. Forgot how to throw a boomerang, but eventually it came back to wow. It reminds me of the old where's the general keep his armies? In his sleeveys. Okay, sorry. Oh boy. Dead jokes. They're the best. So let's do one more addition here. So I make the sword, and when I grab it, whoa! It threw me up in the air. It's kind of awesome. So of course I could expand that vector, make it go longer. But yeah, so I go over here, grab the diamond sword, put it down, and boom! It made me jump. So anyway, that is our tutorial for now. I wanted to just get you something that could hopefully, upbeat, fun, and get you from literally having no idea where to even start with programming Bucket and messing with Minecraft to setting up, having a project set up, and having it in IntelliJ and have a base that you can start researching how to do what you want to do. Because I'm sure that you have ideas, you have questions, you have comments. There's an active development community on the Spigot forums. I think there's one on the Bucket forums. I haven't been there since the whole DMCA debacle, and so you're welcome to dive into it. Get your hands dirty, learn, and if you get discouraged, just kind of step back and think about the problem you're trying to solve or the feature you're trying to create, and imagine other ways you could go about it if you're having a hard time with the way you're doing it then, or set it down and come back to it later. Learn some more Java and get your skills up and mess around with it. But ultimately, I hope that this is helpful to you and that you enjoyed the content and the terrible, terrible, terrible joke. Nixky Bike asks, how did I start doing stuff like this? I was working as a software engineer at 1-800-Contacts for their QA department, writing automation frameworks for testing things like warehouse distribution, Walmart integration, and stuff like that. And I wanted to improve my coding skills because I've been developing on and off during my life growing up, but just mainly messing around, modifying video games, that kind of stuff. And that was my first development job that I feel like I kind of talked through my butt to get, but I don't think that they regretted hiring me because they taught me things and I taught them things and we were happy. But I wanted to improve my skills as a developer, and I was enjoying Minecraft at the time and playing on hardcore factions, and wanted to set up a server and just mess around, and actually the developer for hardcore factions had dropped off developing due to some drama, and I approached High Life and said, hey, I'd like to do some development, do you have any projects you want me to do? And kind of just started working on little things like a faction notice board, ended up making an arena, and then MineZ was like my third or fourth Java project / Minecraft project. So I actually learned Java by programming in Bucket, so it's kind of fun. I mean, I knew a little bit of Java from high school, I think, but I never actually had done it in college because we've been doing C++. But yeah, so that's how I got started with it. Is just kind of, I wanted to pick it up, and I started learning online and studying and trial and error. So Smiggy, the arena's here. It's called GG. If you don't like GG, then there's a problem. The end. So that's it. Thank you very much. Any other questions? I'll kind of take some questions. Hopefully this part gets cut out of YouTube. Awesome. Well, Kurloku, you're welcome. I hope you enjoy IntelliJ. I will continue this. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a series. Next time I'd like to dial it in and go over a little bit of some basic game logic, some basic ideas of how you can enhance your game and what you can do with it, and kind of illustrate some things that maybe some configuration loading. But anyway, I'll come up with the curriculum for next week, and just plan on that. If another developer takes over the stream, I won't make them continue this series. So it just depends on if somebody else wants to step up and do something next week. It's kind of whoever feels so inclined. So, but if I'm here, we're going to continue this, and I hope that you've enjoyed. And feel free to ask any questions. You can shoot me a PM on the forums. You can message me on Reddit, Lazertester, wherever, and I'll do my darndest to answer. So have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.